Hello and welcome to ITV's exclusive coverage from Moscow of the 21st World Gymnastics Championships. And having seen the opening competition, I can tell you that over the next 5 days you'll see some of the best gymnastics you've ever seen. Indeed, being decided today is the men's team championship, and it builds to an almost unbelievable climax. Our commentary team in Russia is John Taylor and 4 times British champion Monica Phelps. So let's set the scene by satellite and join John and Monica in Moscow's legendary Red Square.
Well, here we are back again in this extraordinary city just a year or so after the Olympics. As you'd expect, nothing much has changed except the weather. It's absolutely freezing. But to compensate for that, we've got what's probably the most spectacular gymnastic competition ever. All the top nations are here, and they include Japan, China and the USA, who all boycotted the Olympics. They're absolutely determined that the Eastern European nations won't make a clean sweep of the medals, as they did last time we were here in Moscow.
In all, there are 37 nations competing in these championships, including, of course, Great Britain. Whilst we can't expect to win any medals, it is vital that both the men's and the women's teams continue to climb the world ranking ladder and improve on their best ever performances, 18th and 16th respectively, in the last World Championships 2 years ago. But whatever the result this week, to be here in Moscow, the very heart of the gymnastics world, must be the experience of a lifetime.
Coming to Moscow means you're coming to the centre of gymnastics. This is shown by the training facilities before the competition, and you can see why they are so good in gymnastics with the demonstration that was given in the opening ceremonies. They had little 8, 9-year-olds doing tricks that many people in our country certainly wouldn't be able to do at 14, 15.
I've never competed against names such as Davidova, Comaneci, although she's not in it, she's around in the gym. People such as Teresheva are even judging the competitions, and it's just a great experience.
The setup here is tremendous, looking around the apparatus, and just this arena in general is quite a feeling just to be in here.
Outside and in, the Prospect Mirror Stadium is a spectacular sight. It was built specially for the Olympics, and if you think this is impressive, it's actually only the half of it. That's where the gymnasts warm up. It's only when you walk through what is literally a collapsible wall that you find the competition area. The two halves each seat 17,500 people, and when you put the halves together, the stadium is a massive 275 yards long, 220 yards wide, and 50 yards high. It makes the Wembley Arena look minute, and in every way is the perfect setting for an event of such importance.
Today is the 3rd day of the championship.
It was best. They was more stronger than other teams. But I won't say some good words to the Chinese, to the Japanese teams, to the DDR teams, German. The gymnastic was high class.
And of course tomorrow the women's competition starts. Can the Russian women win too?
I want that they win, but it's very difficult because all the results are very close, and it will be very difficult to win tomorrow. But I hope, because I think that our girls best girls now.
Thank you, Nelly.
Day of ITV's exclusive coverage from Moscow of the World Gymnastics Championships, a day on which the women's team championship will be decided. We'll see Elena Davidova, the Olympic overall champion, spearheading the challenge of the host nation, the Soviet Union. We'll see drama involving her great rival Maxi Ganauk, the Olympic silver medalist from East Germany. And we'll see a new little Olga Bicherova, who's 15 years old and only 4 foot 6.5 inches tall, thrilling the Russian crowd. Well, we've already had the compulsory stages of the team championship with Russia, as expected, in the lead. But China are second, with East Germany and Romania in 3rd and 4th places. The British team got on by joining our own commentary team, John Taylor and Monica Phelps.
Well, at last the British team arrive. Now this is the 3rd of 6 shifts, with 4 nations going each time. The girls have had a long wait hanging around, but at last, Denise Jones, our first girl to go on the vault.
A rather cagey first effort from Denise. I do hope she can really get hold of herself. Sukahara piked. 8-8 to score. Now on to Cheryl Weatherston.
Cheryl, a straight Sukahara, well landed. She's absolutely delighted. That's a much better start. The British girls desperately need to begin well. It does wonders for the confidence, Monica.
Oh yes, tremendously. And this really should give a lift to the British team. A beautiful flying straight position through the air. And a nice solid landing.
And her score, 9.35.
Now Mandy Gornell.
This is her second vault. It's absolutely vital that she lands it.
Dear me. That's her last score. We thought possibly she might have changed that vault, but I think the waiting around affected her. 8-6 to score.
Now on to the Avars. This is Lisa Young. British girls off to a shaky start. They must pick it up here.
Lisa's looking good and strong now. She had a rather difficult start on vault. Now building up. I think she had a miss there and she's having to reorganize her routine into the dismount, shoot front to land. Very good indeed.
The British girls now picking up, Monica. They had that delay because the previous session went 45 minutes over. How much does that affect a gymnast?
Oh, tremendously. All of their timing goes wrong. And the adrenaline flow has stopped, but Lisa here has certainly got hers back. A very, very good score there for Lisa, 9.4. Now on to Kathy.
This is Kathy Williams. The British team, remember, they've all got to score well. 5 out of the 6 girls count because this is the team competition.
Kathy is a long, elegant gymnast and she's swinging well, showing handstands and full twists. In to beat the bar. Good beat to handstand. Now preparing for the dismount. Oh dear me, we can ill afford a 0.5 deduction for a fall there.
There we saw Kathy with her pirouette. And Kathy scores 8.85. And there's Nellie Kim, who's with us this week, looking avidly at the British. Mandy Gornell now for her bar routine.
And Mandy looks crisp and positive. The poor start doesn't seem to have affected her at all. She's really moving her bars well. Beat straight up to handstand, immediate endo, back straddle over the bottom bar. Very, very difficult stuff here. An excellent landing there.
That must have done her a power of good because she, of course, is also interested in getting into the top 36. And these scores count towards that. Lovely landing from Mandy. And the score for Mandy, we've just seen it, 9.45. Lovely smile from her.
Now we have Lisa Young preparing for beam. She's just had a very, very good bar exercise and she's normally very sturdy on beam. Now Lisa beginning her first moves of difficulty and establishing herself. And she looks just a little shaky, rather flat-footed.
Yes, very, very big occasion. A little wobble there. The girls obviously nervous. This Prospect Mira Stadium, a huge place and a difficult atmosphere to work in.
A difficult jump, superior rating, but dear me, she's off the beam.
Now she must regain her confidence. That's the great difficulty, Monica, isn't it? Once they've made a fall, worrying about it.
And obviously she is. She's off again. And she really has to concentrate very, very hard now, because she's thinking, what's my mum thinking? What's everybody at home thinking? She has an aerial movement to come in this routine, and there it is, and she's off again.
That's a real disaster. She can now only be marked out of 8.5. That's her maximum, without any other faults apart from the falls.
And even on the dismount, she almost missed her foot. But she's composed at the moment, and I'm sure she's bitterly disappointed.
The British team really haven't got off to the sort of start that they wanted. Terribly big occasion. Lisa normally so secure on the beam.
This shows just a little bit of imbalance. They're just a movement of the hips, and if the hips are out of line, then it's very difficult to regain balance.
She normally, in fact, does that movement consecutively, and she halted even before that very early little routine.
Unfortunately, Lisa, they're looking extremely sad, but she has to recover.
And the score, 7.9. Mandy Gornall now on the beam. Let's see if she can do better.
Another wobble from Mandy. It's the most difficult piece of apparatus to really concentrate on. And with a little bit of a bad start, the attitude of a gymnast is most important.
And of course, in the team competition, the fact that the other girls haven't done well gets to the one actually on the beam at the moment.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, you think about this whilst you're working.
Working much better now. Mandy showing a lot of poise, but there again with that Barani finding it very difficult.
Yes, Mandy's going to have quite a few deductions for her wobbles. And of course she has the applause and the music. All of those things she has to try and wipe out of her mind. The rather flat-footed, not rising on the toes, shows a little bit of nerves, but a gainer to finish. A satisfactory performance. I mean, at least Mandy stayed on and coped with the situation after Lisa, which is not easy. She'll be pondering now on her score. 8.95. A little kiss on the head there for Lisa.
And that's Serena Martinez of Spain leaving the floor. She scored 9.4, and the Spanish girls, I think, have probably gone ahead of us after our poor showing on beam.
Oh, yes, most definitely. And Lisa Young has managed to muster a smile to go on to her next piece of apparatus, the floor exercise.
She really must put that beam ordeal right behind her, because she's a beautiful floor worker.
Dynamic run here into a very, very well lifted double back and landed. Excellent. Routine, and Lisa's now approaching the second, and we'll see just how strong she is. A flick flap, whip back, and an Arabian somersault.
Nice to see. She's working really confidently, Monica.
It's a wonderful recovery, because there she shows immaculate balance. Now comes the test. Can she land this last tumble?
Well, I think that's a tremendous recovery. It says a lot for her character. A lot of people would have gone to pieces completely after that beam. But here she comes into a tumbling run. And that lovely double twist to finish. Well done, Lisa. 9.35 for her.
Now approaching the floor, waiting to start, is Hayley Price, a particularly elegant performer. We always rely on a very, very sturdy performance from Hayley.
And another well-landed double tuck-back somersault to start with. It's always good to get that one under your belt.
Hayley is a real technician on the floor. Her tumbles are very, very technically accurate, and her dance and mobility and amplitude is admired throughout the country. Full twisting flip-flap there. Good toe work here from Hayley shows that she's still strong and she's able to use her legs well, spin and show control at the end of her little movements. Preparing now for her last tumble. And there we see the technician twisting, a double twist somersault to finish.
Absolutely lovely. That's what the British team need. They'll be a lot happier after that floor exercise. As a team, they performed so much better, Monica.
Oh.
Here we see one of the dance sections in the middle of her frame. She scored 9.4. Good finish. 9.4 for the Brits. That's done them a lot of good. Into the last rotation, the big four countries, Russia, China, East Germany and Romania. And this is the reigning world floor champion, Emilia Eberli from Romania.
I think Eberli looks particularly trim this time. She looks far fitter. A nice double back pike somersault to open.
Very unusual tactic this. They put Eberli first on the floor. Now she's their senior competitor. Now there's no Comaneci. Very unusual, Monica.
It is indeed, and I think that they're possibly hoping that the marks will rise throughout the round. A very, very strong middle tumble there with two somersaults linked together to give her high scoring value. And very, very lively dance to follow.
Three circles on her hands there. That's rates as a C move, the most difficult grading that you get in gymnastics. And a double twisting back somersault to finish with. Eberli starts very securely on the floor. Big reaction from this crowd. The stadium now virtually full. All 17,500 of them.
I don't think that although the routine was lovely, and we see here the elegance, lovely head position, nice jumps, I don't think that it's quite a world winner. Whilst it's beautiful, a nice Arab spring into a split jump and showing tremendous variation of skills, which floor routines are all about.
Now, I think it's fair to say Eberli probably now past her best. And she scores, though, 9.65. That's a good start for her.
Now to asymmetric bars, we see the Chinese Wu Jiani. A beautiful performance. Stalled at a handstand, beat the bar. This is artistry and a beautiful move. Straddle over the bar to catch an eagle catch. Into a Radokla. some absolutely beautiful somersaults and handstands with exquisite lines. And a heck tuck back somersault to mount. She had everything in that.
Monica, it looks as if we might see the Chinese women picking up where the men left off. That really was beautiful originality and elegance in their optional exercises.
This, to me, is what the sport is all about. And the score is 9.85.
Now the little girl who's really got the crowd going, Olga Bicharova from Russia.
She is just beautiful. A lovely vault, really pert.
And she's going to score well on that one, that full twisting. 9.75. Now it's Davidova to go.
The variety of vaults are interesting. A full twist on and a full twist off and a very good landing.
That the vault that she used in the Olympics. Davidova, of course, the Olympic champion.
Full twist on, a little late, so she doesn't get quite the thrust off that she should, but I think it should just pip Bicharova's score. Waiting anxiously for the score. 9.8, an excellent mark.
Now let's see whether Chen Wenyan from China can continue in the same way as Wu Jiani on the asymmetric bars.
It's a grand circle, a giant circle. A full twisting Chrysler, which is an extremely difficult movement. One foot onto the bar, half turn and a pike back somersault dismount. We just see during this the bar beat. The bars are particularly mobile. One hand onto the bar, the full twist on the bottom bar, balances herself with her legs wide. A 9.8 to score, a lovely exercise.
Now, the East Germans, of course, very much in contention, and Maxi Gnauk, the Olympic silver medalist, they're a very original dismount. She does a flick-flack, actually up onto the beam.
Maxi is a tremendously strong performer. Whilst not perhaps one of the most elegant, in the end, what counts is whether or not they can actually stay on this piece of wood, only 4 inches wide. And there we have a flick-flack into a somersault with just a minimal movement on landing.
Maxi, a great technician. Always missed out at the very top level. Bad wobble there.
And a lost combination, John. 2 moves should have been linked together.
Maxi, a bit of a Cinderella character. She's always coming second. Can this be her championship?
And a lovely finish. And the East German crowd greet her. They adore her. And she even turns around, gives them a smile and a wave. Isn't that nice? Now we see the Arab spring into the somersault with 2 twists and a still landing. We're looking for, in a team competition, no deductions at all on the landings. And she achieved that.
Little bit of attention, but she scores 9.8. Now one of your favorites, I know, Monica, the graceful Natalia Ilienko.
Oh, not so graceful there. Oh, it's a fingertip job. She's off. Well, can she recover? That must be a heavy deduction, John.
Oh, enormous deduction there. So surprising. But they were even saying in the Russian papers this morning that there she was right up the top with Davidova, but She's renowned for being a little bit brittle, and there it was borne out.
There's some beautiful moves following, but this is only one piece. Full twisting, dismount, and she won't be smiling.
Well, it must be down to 9.2 before we even start, so it should be under 9, I think, Monica.
Well, I would think well under 9, but remember we do have a Russian superior judge, but we do have some superior moves in that stalder to handstand and rising right up above the bar before she goes into her dismount, round, using the legs to initiate her twist.
.2, well,
a little overrated when we've just seen the world champions score 9.9 for a perfect exercise earlier on.
This is Chen Wenyan from China. On the beam, the Chinese girls haven't been quite so secure on this piece of apparatus.
Well, they are so superb. They've set their standards in the eyes of the audience and the judges so high on the bars. They have to maintain it. We call what is going on at the moment, Chen Wenyang is looking at the beam all the time, showing lack of confidence. We call this in the sport beam hunting. And she's...
Oh, and the Russian directors cut away to Davidova. Understandably, the Russians interested in their own people, and here the Olympic champion on the A-bars.
Struggling in that handstand. She's got a lot to match. Straddle somersault over, circling and swinging quite freely. Now she seems to be controlling the exercise.
Lovely pirouette there on the top bar. Oh, and a shoot front somersault to landing. Davidova so secure.
It was a lovely exercise, but in my opinion, not the best of the day, whilst it was excellent. Here we see the upstart, one of the basic elements in gymnastics, and the preparation for what's called a shoot front dismount in a piked position. And showing a stable, still landing position. And 9.9 to score.
And Chen Wenyan of China finished on the beam with 9.7.
Now Olympic silver medalist on the floor from East Germany, Maxi Gnauk. After a brilliant beam routine, let's see what she can produce.
This, one of her strongest pieces. Well, that really was a mistake.
Something's gone wrong. She should have done a double back there.
And it's her tumbling that's usually her great strength. She's not marvellous on the dance things. She gets all her marks on her tumbling, so that's a disaster.
And there must be something wrong. That's on both takeoff points she's stopped. Yes, perhaps an injury. Yes, it looks as though her left foot is a little sore.
Definitely injury of some sort. It must be an ankle. And for Maxi Gnauk to actually retire from the floor, it looks very serious to me, Monica.
Well, she must have taken a carefully calculated decision. She's able to walk off. And she really... What the team are going to do without her, I don't quite know. We'll look at this slow motion action and see if we can see where it went wrong.
No real sign there, but she obviously did something dramatic, and that's a terrible thing to happen for her, because she's, of course, really virtually ruled out of the top 36 competition, the individual competition as well, because she can't possibly score more than 2 or 3 marks for that routine.
Oh no, she just more or less made an appearance on the floor, but it's the impact on takeoff that causes this kind of an injury. And whether or not she's going to have to retire totally, or whether they're going to be able to wave a magic sponge, I don't know.
Well, she's still got the vault to come, so that's another high impact piece of apparatus on the ankles. It's a real disaster, because now the other 5 of the East German team have got to put in perfect performances every time if East Germany, the bronze medalists at the last World Championships, are to have a chance.
Well, Maxi's score has come up and the audience are astounded. She's only got a score of 2.5, which really affects her in the individual performance. But of course we hope we have the strength and depth of the team to rely on. She's looking very sad.
Poor old Maxi. And she was hoping for so much at these championships, having come second so often.
Perhaps this will shake Steffi Kraker into action, because Steffi has been not really working brilliantly.
This is Chu Cheng from China now as we go to the floor. Oh, and that's a disaster too.
Pulling back out, and she fell.
And that, just in the background there, Maxi Gnauk racing through picture. She's actually got onto the vault and she's landed it.
The Chinese, whilst they are absolutely superb on some pieces of apparatus, here seem to lack the power. Like the men, they were dynamic on floor, and the women just don't have that edge of strength to perform successfully the big tumbles. We do look on floor for intricate and original dance sequences in between the tumbles to punctuate the exercise before double twisting somersaults, as we've just seen. A nice routine, but not really powerful enough to get in the big score, John.
No, and with that fall at the beginning, I'm afraid the Chinese are rather losing their whole direction. They didn't do well on the beam.
8.95 to score, and I think the cause of that was the tumble that we just saw on the opening tumble.
A tumble on a tumble. Came a real cropper. Maxi Gnauk, there it is, the slow motion replay of her vault, and there was no holding back on that takeoff, Monica.
A full twisting Sukahara to land. Of course, the takeoff is worse on a backward takeoff, and this is forwards, and she mastered that.
And she scored an incredible 9.9. Maria Filatova of Russia on the floor.
This little performer is dynamite, and she can be so elegant.
She looks so young, Monica, and yet she's the oldest in the Russian team, isn't she? She's 20, I think.
Yes, she's the captain, and she sets a tremendous example in her attitude in competition and in her performance. This is beautiful. The Russians take everything so seriously. They even have stripes down the leotards to enhance their length, because they are very, very short gymnasts. The preparation to the last tumble, and it's got to be a big one to get into the top group, and it is. Double back pike somersault to finish. Beautifully executed.
Does everything so well, she knows even when to smile. Absolutely delighted with herself, and rightly so.
I have seen her land on her head in that before. She's made a good recovery.
And the Russian crowd, not only appreciative of their own team, they know more about gymnastics than crowds anywhere else in the world.
It's nice to see the team spirit to see them waiting for each other to come off the floor and greet. There's Alla Shisheva, the reserve, a good gymnast, watching. Here, this extension, the wide arm into the Arab Spring, the jump to get length into the back flips, a full twisting somersault, followed by a flick-flack, followed by another full twisting somersault, which gives extreme difficulty into the routine. Here's the full twist to land.
And she knew exactly where she was going all the time in that one. Still anxiously awaiting the route mark. It's always a tense moment. There it is, 9.7. That's a good start for the Russians on the floor.
Natalia Ilienko now, waiting to go on the floor, still looking very solemn after her rather disastrous bar routine. But she is elegance personified. Just see her in action.
Well, she might have ruined her chances in the individual competition, but still important for her team that she puts in a really good floor exercise.
A double twisting somersault there for the middle tumble, so we are looking possibly for a double somersault at the end of this most elegant routine. She is just selling it and living every minute of it. Now take a breath, Natalia. Into the last tumble, girl. And it is double backpacked, and she nailed it. Well, that was a beautiful routine. The use of her arms, the choreography, that is the makeup of the floor routines. The Russians really delve into this in tremendous detail. Coach pleased.
What a pity she seems to have this problem with her floor routines. There we see the tumbling exercise. In the tumbling routine in the middle, that was the double tuck-back somersault at the beginning of the exercise. Waiting anxiously for the score. She's still not happy. She can't get the memory of that bars exercise. But there it is, 9.9. That must make her feel better.
So, despite earlier setbacks for East Germany's Maxi Gnauch and Russia's Natalia Ilienko, both came back with some remarkable performances. But there's more to come. Russia and China lead the race for the team title, but the real battle is between East Germany and Romania for third place. See what happens in just a few minutes. Welcome back. Well, we now move towards the climax of the Women's Team Championship. The final rotation has taken place and East Germany's Maxi Gnauch will compete on the asymmetric bars. But first we see her colleague Steffi Kraker. Our commentators are, as always, John Taylor and Monica Phelps.
And now we see Steffi Kraker, the second best performer in the East German team on her asymmetric bar exercise. Whoops, a little bit of unbalance here. Forward sole circle and a somersault to recatch called a corbett into upstarts, and she's going to continue. Very difficult for such a tall girl to get a complete circle in. Full twist there.
Now to the dismount. Shoot front and then full twist in it. Good routine from Steffi Kraker. These Germans, since that disaster with Maxi, have really come back very strongly, but at the moment the Romanians still in front of them, and I don't think they can get third place.
I think these Germans will put the pressure on the Romanians with routines like this. There we see that somersault that was first introduced by Olga Korbut, who is in fact in the audience watching the championships.
Steffi Kraker, very big girl, 9.75. Should be very pleased with that.
Now we see Maxi Gnauk on bars, following Steffi's good routine. She's bettering it with lines like that, stalled it to handstand. Very good shapes in all of her movements. She's extremely strong on bars. Short clear to handstand, and another, and a shoot front dismount with a Barani out, which is a half twist in the somersault.
Marvellous effort there by Maxi. Really a traumatic night for her. After that injury, many people would have dropped out, but she's come back to anchor this East German team. She's really done a tremendous job for them. And I suppose they're not quite out of it for the medals, but although they're still in 4th place at the moment, I think they might have slipped even further. A triumph for her. Marvellous effort. What a tough little competitor she is. 9.95, no wonder she's smiling. A tremendous mark. That's the highest mark of the night.
Yes, the highest. She's even beaten the world champion on the A-bars, and the East German crowds will just love that.
But the Russians continuing on the floor. Little Olga Bichirova. They now know that they must win the team title here. So let's just watch her. A little girl who's taking these championships by storm.
She enjoys performing just as much as we enjoy watching her. And a beautiful high double back somersault, tucked to finish. She had a full twisting double back somersault as an opener, and another double somersault at the end. That was just tremendous. We are going to see an awful lot more of little Olga Bichirova. Anxiously now awaiting the score. Polina Astakova there, delighted with her little darling's performance.
Here, one of her tumbling routines, arrow spring, flick-flack, one twist and a half. Comes out of it, facing forwards. And there, another twist at the end, and she scores 9.8.
Now over to beam. The pressure is on the Romanians, and here we have Christina Gregoris on beam with the... This is a Barani, one of her unusual moves, but a big wobble. She looks really unsteady. Flat-footed and not on her toes. The pressure is on her to hold the Romanians in bronze medal position.
Grigoresh, one of the most experienced members of the Romanian team, but she's not really going with great confidence. Oh, and she's off!
And she looks so tatty. She really looks untidy.
That is a disaster. I'm not certain, but I have a feeling that that position for third place moniker is so close that could have done it, because she must lose 0.5.
Oh, I think that perhaps we've said goodbye to it already. Stalling for the finish, a deduction here for time wasting because she's standing too long. A good dismount, but the dismount just isn't enough. We'll wait and see what the score is. I'm sure she's bitterly disappointed.
She certainly looked a lot less tidy than when I saw her last perform in the World Cup in Toronto, but she's grown a lot since then, and sometimes I think the girls find that difficult to handle, Monica.
Oh, it's extremely difficult. It alters their levers, it alters their points of balance, and their attitude changes. We see here the double back somersault, dismount, a cowboy tuck with the legs apart. We see this constantly in gymnastics. Ultimately, they'll tidy it up. But they're a very, very disappointed girl. Tears and...
I think she knows that she's actually blown that medal. Certainly showing it as if she does.
Score of 9-0, and I'm sure that that has said goodbye to the bronze medal. The Romanians who were world champions.
Well, now, Davidova, secure in the knowledge that the marks of her teammates who've gone before, has already won the Russians the team championship. She can really go through this exercise as a celebration.
Davidova, now approaching 20, can just put in the correct amount of sex appeal to make a routine choreographed so well as this look beautiful. Beckons everybody to watch. She is so cheeky. And how's about that, she says. A beautiful routine. We've seen it performed once before, but not quite with the maturity. I think that exceeded the performance that we saw in Moscow.
And the Russian crowd happy. They were a little bit worried before this women's competition because the Chinese and the East Germans in particular were too close, but the Russian girls have streaked away from them, and they're the emotion suddenly all tumbling out, really enjoying themselves, and it's really an incredible performance from them, Monica.
Oh, it was really superb. That routine was shown at the Olympic Games, but now to see it again at a World Championship, improved, because we thought it couldn't be improved then. Here we see that fantastic 1.5 twisting somersault into a punch front. The punch means that they take off and land. 9.85, a superb performance by Davidova.
Now the Russians ready to take the podium. Anxiously looking around, they even want to make sure that they get this right. Little beater over at the end. There they are, the glorious six: Natalia Ilyenko, Elena Polivea, Stella Zakharova, Elena Davidova, Maria Filatova, and little Olga Bicherova. And Yuri Titov, the president of the International Gymnastics Federation, puts the medals around their neck. A moment for them to savor because they've got the World Championship back from Romania. Nelly, congratulations on the win of the Russian team.
Thank you.
You must be very, very pleased. Was there any time you thought they wouldn't win?
I never thought that they can win. I hope that they win every World Championship, but every competition, I think I feel very, very nervous because every competition is more difficult than it was before.
And now that you're not competing, what does it feel like to be a spectator?
It is very difficult to see it on the place instead to be on the floor because I couldn't do nothing of that.
And what are you actually doing now that you've finished with competitive gymnastics?
In my life, and now I'm preparing my competition on the floor and on the beam to exhibition to other countries and of course in England. And now I'm preparing my exercise to competition to Coca-Cola, and I will come to London in December.
Well, Nellie Kim, and our commentators in Moscow were John Taylor and Monica Phelps. 9.3. Second, China with 384.6. East Germany regained the third place from Romania thanks to that courageous performance by Maxi Gnauk on the asymmetric bars. Czechoslovakia were fifth and the United States sixth. And Great Britain finished in 12th place, which is 4 places better than in the last World Championships. Well, as far as the individual standings are concerned, Russia fill the top 6 places at the halfway stage, with the new little Olga Bicherova, lying just behind the Olympic champion Elena Davidova, and Maxi Gnauk now...
Tremendous pressure for the leader of this competition to start off on this piece, the most nerve-wracking piece of apparatus. So let's just watch intently.
Yes, this is a very difficult piece to start on. All falls are given an immediate 0.5 deduction, and the beam just 4 inches wide, very, very easy to come off. But she started very securely, all her experience showing. Bad wobble there, though.
Yes, we just hope that she can recover, and may that be the least of her troubles.
Hongrie, exercice seul.
That's another one. That's really got to be at least a 0.2 deduction, 1.1 for each. So she's down to 9.8 already, we would guess.
And more important than anything, I think, there's a beautiful one-arm balance there, a little bit snatched into the landing. But the advantage that she will give to her competitors, if she lets them know that she's nervous. This is what we call the psychology of the sport. She has to pretend that she's got nerves of steel. Then we see the full twist. Oh, dear me. That is a disaster for Davidova.
The very thing she didn't want to happen, that really should put her straight out of the lead after the first round unless all her rivals also make a mistake. Can't believe it. She'll have performed that landing thousands of times in practice.
Here we look onto the balance where she recovers. I wonder what's going through her mind now. She slumped down on the chair when she was finished, and she's looking pretty discontented.
The women, of course, haven't even got as much time as the men to make a comeback from any mistake they make, because they only perform on 4 pieces of apparatus. So if she were to lose 0.8 of a mark here, that would be a huge blow, and it looks like being at least that. And Davidova's mark just come up, 9.35.
And now to asymmetric bars, one of the stars of this competition, young Olga Bicherova, at the moment lying in 2nd place. A real new discovery. Could she be another Olga Korbut?
This one of the ones we've really been waiting for. She's shown such poise, it doesn't look possible with such a little girl. But there, the short clear, then the giant circle. And shoot, front somersault dismount with half turn. She's done another perfect exercise from Bicherova. Perfection, the wrong word, really. But we'll see whether the judges think it is or not. But superb control there in such a difficult pressure situation.
Oh, yes, she started off with a full twist on the mount. Then that's a movement famous for the Poznikova first invented. Then you see the tension in her routine all the way through to the dismount, and she looks quite contented.
Now we've gone to beam. Marta Egavari from Hungary, starting her routine.
And the score for Olga Becherova on the asymmetric bars was 9.8, so she really puts the pressure on Davidova.
And there Egavari comes off, as so many of these girls have done, on the beam. She's now got to get back her concentration.
Упражнение на брусе. Мария Филатова, Советский Союз.
There you can hear over the PA the announcement that Filatova's about to go up on the asymmetric bars. She and Becherova in the same group. So there's something of a head-to-head battle there going on, just as we had between Korolyov and Makut's yesterday. Meanwhile, Egavari still concentrating on her beam.
I'm just keeping an eye on Filatova on bars. The atmosphere here is really electric.
Egavari now building up to a dismount, and just as she does it, Filatova finishes her bars. The cheers are for that, not for Egavari's routine, I'm afraid.
Well, let's hope there's a little bit of each. And now onto the floor. Our greatest interest in this championship is our own British champion, Mandy Gornall, opening there with a lovely double twister. Double twisting back somersault.
Mandy, of course, had a bad time in the first set of optional exercises. She thought at one time she failed to make this last 36 competition, but we're very pleased that she just sneaked in at number 35.
A middle tumble routine there, showing a flick-flack, a whip back, and another somersault onto one leg. Now, the slower part of the routine, where we show the small movements of virtuosity, the jumps and turns.
Filatova, by the way, scored 9.8 on the asymmetric bar, so she's hanging on right in there. Mandy, that heavy strapping on her right leg, it shows what a hard week it is for the gymnast, Monica.
Oh, indeed. And a full twisting back somersault, which is the last tumble. Handstand full pirouette. Or 1.5. I don't think she quite made the double that she was probably going for.
A much more secure exercise there from Mandy. I think she'll be happier to start on floor than the vault as she had to in the first set of optional exercises.
Yes, I think that this first tumble, in actual fact, I think this is the first tumble. No, this is the middle one. Whip back and straight back. But she did have a double back somersault. The ankle strapping suggests that she injured her foot and she's had to take the movement out.
The crowd having built themselves up for Becherova and Filatova, now just waiting patiently. Here we see, we've got a chance to see Filatova on the asymmetric bars.
She really has made a magnificent recovery to the sport, because a couple of years ago, on these same moves, she's a little bit slack. Underneath the bar and a half turn. Oh, gosh, that was a beautiful Delchev. Up to catch.
It's amazing the number of movements that have been transferred from the men's high bar routines that were considered very strong movements that the girls have now put on. Burning up there a soul circle and a full twisting back somersault from the high bar in the straight position to finish with. That was a 9.8 for Filatova.
And before we return you to the gym
bars, very stylish gymnast.
See a toe-on, toe-off to handstand into a giant circle, another half-giant circle to Delchev catch. They're putting everything in these routines at the moment. And Kathy doing extremely well to come into this championship last minute. Full twisting, long swing to finish. That's swinging long underneath the bar, releasing and performing a full twist in one somersault.
Yes, considering on the original American team list, she was only in as a replacement in the team. She's really done very well to come in their top 3, Monica.
Oh, extremely well. She's a very experienced gymnast.
Now, ready to go on the vault, number 159, Hinata from Japan. Yuka Hinata.
Let's hope we get a little bit of better coverage on our vault this time from our little man with the camera.
She's already vaulted once, and this is going to be her second vault, the best of the 2 to count. There's, you can see her studying. We can't actually see the instrument, but what she's doing is she's actually printing up the number of the vault that she's going to perform so that the judges know it before she begins her routine. And it's straight on and a 360-degree turn off there for Hinata from Japan.
Now onto floor we have Chen Chung. A dramatic performer in the team. I noticed she changed the first tumble. She's out of the floor. She fell in the first round on a full in back out, which is a twisting double back, so she changed it and put too much into it and still fell, poor girl.
Yes, the last time she fell forward, rubbed her nose along the ground. This time she sits down outside the floor area.
And an excellent finish to not a bad start on the first tumble for Chu Cheng. She'll be bitterly disappointed with the fall because that will drop her down considerably in the final placing. Into the tumble we see up, we see her over-rotate the back somersault. The second one bring her feet underneath her, and unfortunately that's half a mark down.
And Chu Cheng came into this final part of the individual competition in 7th place, and that will ruin it. But one girl who started really well today, Olga Vicharova, on the beam. She really does start with an advantage over some of the other girls because she looks so sweet, Monica.
She does, and of course her feet are smaller than anybody else's, so one should say that she's got more chance of staying on the beam.
Little mistake there. She over-rotated. They have to include that pirouette in their routine. And she couldn't even hide it, Monica, because she had to straighten herself up before she went on, didn't she?
She made up for it there, though, didn't she? Back somersault from a flick-flack, a very, very difficult combination. A C rating, in other words, a movement of superior difficulty.
Those simple-looking little leaps must be performed to full extension, and they're not nearly as easy as they look when you're on that beam. Vicharova, of course, the leader in the competition after the first round. Davidova having a disaster there on the beam. So Vicharova now the favourite for the gold medal.
And what a double back somersault. The first 1.5 somersaults were above the beam. That was a superb finish.
Well, the Russian crowd, any of them that were behind Davidova, switched their attention now to Bichirova.
There we see the pert little ponytailed Olga being greeted by Alashisheva, another up-and-coming Soviet gymnast.
She can hardly believe all this is happening to her, but once she's up on the apparatus, she certainly knows what she's doing. There she goes, flick-flack. Free back summer over onto one foot and then brings the other down.
And on beam, the score for Ola Bichirova is 9.75, an extremely good score, well-deserving score with a high mount like that. But unfortunately, on floor, Chu Cheng, who had her fall, has now dropped well back with a score of 9 only on her disastrous first piece.
Now, Maria Filatova following Bichirova onto the beam. She's in second place, and she's just seen that 9.75, and she knows that that can be beaten.
And somehow, I have tremendous faith in Filatova. I personally like her as a performer, and from what I see of her as a person. And I've got a feeling that she'll put everything into this routine to better that score.
Well, no mistakes yet. Free front walkover.
Упражнение напротив выполнит Сильвия Топалова, Болгария.
Now we have, obviously, a concentration for this next difficulty, which is a flick-flack onto 2 feet, into a somersault onto 2 feet, which is most difficult, because the preparation at the beginning of that flick-flack has to be absolutely accurate to land on 4 inches again. The gymnasts have to include in every other length on the beam a movement of at least medium difficulty. They can't dance along the beam twice doing nothing in little frills. They have to include some difficulties.
She's a very short gymnast, but she does manage that extension that gives her great elegance.
Yes, she's always so beautifully extended and fast-moving. And there we have flick-flap to 2 feet, double back, tight somersault to finish, and you just can't ask for more than that as a competition against Bichirova.
Well, this is very interesting. It could make this competition even tighter. She was just 48.525 against Bichirova's 48.75 before this round began, and that really could put her 0.1 closer, and she'll be very much in contention then for the gold medal.
I'm sure she's even now, she's such an analytical gymnast, she's probably asking her coach, well, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? How could I have done it better? Hear the slow motion of the middle tumble in her beam. Flick-flack and somersault. A little wobble there, a bit more obvious in slow motion.
It's a strange stage of the competition for the gymnasts, because they've been thinking very much as a team member until now, and suddenly they're all out for themselves, even against those team members that they've been encouraging and cooperating with over the first 2 days of their competition. And she scored 9.9. That's 9.9 for Filatova, which really does take her up very, very close to Bichirova.
Bichirova, I think, still in the lead. We're seeing again Filatova's dismount this time. Oh, that was superb, and I'm sure that Mamatea, Filatova's coach, will be delighted with her comeback.
Well, we've still got Davidova to go in this round, but about to go onto the asymmetric bars. It's Ma Yanghong from China. the top Chinese girl, and she's well up in the placings as well, in 4th place at the moment.
In fact, she is current world asymmetric bar champion. There we see a hecht half-turn straddle to catch. Some of this work is artistry at its best. Let's watch it and then I'll go through it afterwards. And that dismount. A hecht 1.5 somersault with twist. A fantastic finish. He's got to be original. Nobody can match a performance like that in my eyes. Let's see what the judges think.
Yeah, that beautiful flip off her hips to the straddle over the top bar. Now she's got to wait for that mark to come through.
Kathy Johnson obviously agrees with me, and she thinks it's a good routine, so I'm sure that there are many gymnastic fans watching who've never seen anything quite like that before. Here, let's see that poetic finish. There's the half twist and another twist and a somersault into land. Magic.
Still waiting anxiously for the score.
Анна Мансо, Испания.
Мансо, Espagne, exercice seul.
Now we see on the floor Ana Manso, one of the few Spanish gymnasts to hit the world scene in the last few years.
And up on the asymmetric bars, Ma Yen-hong's score just come up, 9.9. She's pushing up towards those top 3 places too, so it's getting very tight up there.
This little girl is extremely powerful on the tumbles. Front somersault, Arab spring flick, double twisting back somersault as an opening tumble. One of the team that our girls just managed to pick in the team championship. Anna has just, at the moment, in the lead of Mandy Gorno, our British girl, so we'll see if Mandy can perhaps recoup a few marks and overtake the Spanish Anna. Quite a cheeky little movement there, handspring to sit, and now we're seeing the little acrobatic elements leading up to the tumbles.
Ana Manso from Spain on the floor. Again, not in contention, but vital for these girls and for their countries that they improve their rankings, because it tends to create interest in the sport in that country if one girl moves up the world rankings, and from that they get more people into the sport and can improve the standard overall.
And to participate in a championship like this is so motivating.
There on the asymmetric bars, Martina Polkrova from Czechoslovakia. Shoot front somersault to finish. Polkrova 14th when she came into this competition. Monica, the Czechs really came in with an elegant group of girl gymnasts on this occasion, didn't they?
Oh yes, and they've got a fantastic history. With somebody like Vera Czeslavska in their history, we've got to expect great things from the Czechoslovakians, and they're very high. There we see a tumble drop, which is a somersault from the top bar to the bottom bar, and a half twist into the upstart.
And out of picture, waiting very anxiously, Davidova coming onto the floor. We just hope that our Russian director, and I'm sure he will, comes with her and we move across. But there's Polkrova, still waiting anxiously for hers, because it's one of those moments where you think you've performed your routine well, but worry that the judges might have seen something that you didn't think you even did. But no, her scores come up 9.65, 9.65 for Volkrova. She'll be pleased with that, I think.
Not a particularly original routine, but very, very well performed with the required somersaults in it.
Here's Elena Davidova. Now she's really got to do the best ever floor routine. She's capable of a 10, and if she did get a 10, that would put her back up above Filatova.
She hit the one she missed in warm-up, and so she's really going to allow this to turn her on and give her everything for this performance. A little bit of Eastern promise here.
Beautifully landed double twist to finish the tumbling parts. Take that, she says. I'm not finished yet. Now that's the routine that she scored a perfect 10 on in one of her routines during the Olympics. Can she do it again? If she can, she's right back in contention.
Personally, I don't think she can. She missed out the most difficult tumble in her first run, her Arabian 1 3/4, and she altered the whole routine around. That, in actual fact, was a changed routine from what we saw in the first round, so I think she'll be hoping too high for a very, very high mark, because we know it isn't as good as she can do.
Well, let me just confirm that at the halfway stage in the women's all-round competition, the position is this. Olga Bishirova leads on 58.5. Maria Filatova is second on 58.425. Elena Davidova, the Olympic champion.
Moment. She's got a delightful floor exercise. If she performs it perfectly, she's well capable of scoring the perfect mark.
In very little movement in the opening series of her routine here, she portrays a tremendous amount of feeling for somebody so small. Now watch this first tumble run. Just watch it. Full twisting back full twisting double back somersault. Sorry, I'm so excited.
Now the second tumbling run, 1.5 somersault there, and then a full twist on the end. This, Monica, a very good example of selecting music that really sort of works well with her cheeky character and her build.
And a gimmick that the Soviet gymnasts do. It works well to get the audience clapping and motivates the audience to clap with them right up to the end. Here, double back somersault to finish, and you listen to this crowd.
Well, now she's the firm favourite. That's 3 of the 4 pieces completed, and she must stay in the lead after that exercise. We'll have to wait and see. But she's still got the beam to come, and that's the difficult one.
Only 15 years old and performing in a stadium with routines of this caliber is just something phenomenal. Not just on 1 piece of apparatus, on 4 pieces of apparatus. Double back somersault, full twisting, double back somersault. At what age did she start the sport? At what age did she start to conceive all of these incredible movements?
And in my excitement, I've got it wrong. She's still got the vault to come. She's done her beam, so she's got that falling piece over with. But now, anxiously awaiting, at this level, that odd 0.1, all important. There it is. She's got another 9.9.
A brilliant score and a brilliant performance.
That was Marta Egevari of Hungary on the vault. That her second vault.
Not very well executed. Starting to bend the legs far too early before the handstand phase, getting far too much rotation and having to roll out of it. Now, onto floor, we have Maria Filatova, the captain of the Russian team.
But on this occasion, performing very much for herself. Second place.
The contrast from the really dynamic tumble into this next phase. Just watch the expression on her face, some of the shapes. We're looking for softness around the shoulder line, work on the toes, not on flat feet, fully extended knees. Here we see flick-flack, full twisting somersault, flick-flack, flick-flack, full twisting somersault.
The same middle routine as Bicharova's.
I see lots of similarities. Bicharova had that little fly spring to sit. But of course, we forget that Filatova is a woman. She's now 20 and she can put that different element, a little bit more sophisticated. Was a superb double back pike somersault to finish.
Amazing routine there from Filatova, and incredible how these Russian girls learn to cope with the pressure, because standing there waiting to go on, she saw Bicharova's 9.9 come up and must have known that she, whatever she did...
Oh, well, Olga Korbut, look.
Well, Filatova getting a...
In this vital fourth rotation, first person we're going to see, Rodica Dunca from Romania on the floor. Another very leggy girl, but lands a double pike back somersault there beautifully at the start of her routine.
Rodica, one of the most stylish performers in the present Romanian team, shows her experience to cope with this situation well. The better extension in her knees and ankles shows on this floor routine.
Now her final tumbling routine. Was that 3 twists she put in there, Monica? I don't think it can have been, but it looked very fast.
Perhaps if we see it on slow motion, I think it was only a double twist. I just saw the last part. I was peeping at Steffi Kraker, preparing for bars, you see. In girls' gymnastics, the ability to split the legs, to straddle, to stay on the hands, to walk, to turn, to show mobility in the shoulders and the hips is an absolute essential factor. Now we go over to Chu Cheng on the asymmetric bars. Half turn to upstart, short clear to handstand, Stolder to handstand, and a repeat Stolder. There's some stuff going in. Straddle over the top bar. What an amazing routine.
Just the sort of extension you were talking about, Monica, the ability to split wide enough to go over a high bar. Amazing.
And to put a full twist on that dismount. A super routine. I thought rather a lot of work on the top bar, which may, in actual fact, give her a deduction and make her come out a little lower than one might expect.
But here's the lady of the moment, Olga Vicharova, the leader of the competition, and she's second to go on the vault. Just waiting for the clearance of the previous competitor, number 37, Andrea Szabo of Hungary, and she scored 9.4. But Olga Vicharova now thinking this is the greatest moment of her life. The vault, such a short event, Monica. 5 seconds between a world championship or a disaster. She's, of course, got 2 chances.
The score for Adika Dunker on floor was 9.85. And now we prepare for little Olga.
She's a very small gymnast, really got to attack this vault, and here she goes. Landed it beautifully. Handspring, front somersault with half turn. So that she ends up facing backwards. Here we get a chance to see it.
Parted legs on takeoff, and the judges can't see this from the side. And there we see a very, very early twist.
And she scored 9.9, keeping up the pressure. I can see Filatova just off the podium looking just as anxiously at that mark. She's been nothing if not consistent. Pressure doesn't seem to mean a thing to her, Monica.
She is so cool. So absolutely cool. We don't know. She may have come into this championship so confident from training, knowing that she's the best. She's certainly proving it so far.
Looks as if she's posted up the same vault. It's certainly one with a full 10 tariff that she's going for. And she's got that 9.9. Can she better it?
That was an excellent vault. An excellent vault. It really, when it's shown in slow motion, does not do justice to that little elf. She's so tiny that when she runs down, you think she's going under, and then whoops, above the horse she goes.
And the crowd already thinking that she is new, and she's got a perfect 10. A 10 for Vicharova. She now can't be beaten. She's the new women's world champion.
That must be terrible for the others. Oh, gosh, knowing that that has gone. But that was superb, absolutely beautiful.
But what a moment for her. She knew she had Filatova going after her. She's got all the pressure on her. She answers it perfectly, and she now knows that all the other competitors have got to settle for the silver medal or less.
And on asymmetric bars, we've just seen Dagmar Brahemha make rather a nasty mistake, but she's continuing, and she's picking up quite a fluent routine. Oh dear, she's broken off again. She lost the fluency.
We're not really very interested, I was going to say, Monica, because over there Filatova has just vaulted. Our director, even a Russian director, has cut away from her. At this stage of the competition, it does seem a strange thing to do, but there we are. Filatova, her first vault over. Perhaps he'll give it to us in slow motion. I'm afraid I really can't raise much enthusiasm for Branna Kemper at this stage. There is Filatova. And a poor vault, 9.65. That's the last thing she needed.
Well, I think, quite honestly, if that had happened to me, if somebody had just proved they were world champion just before my vault, I think all the adrenaline that I ever had would have just drained from me. And I missed the vault because I was watching bars.
But now, she's got to really pull back her form here, because Davidova is by no means so far behind her that she couldn't overtake, and 9.65 could put her back from second into third place. That looked a much better vault from Filatova. But on the floor, so that we have number 81, Ma Yan-hong. Now she's up in 4th place, so this one very important to the medals as well. Filatova's score just come up 9.75.
We just see how powerful Ma Yan-hong is on the floor. A very, very slender gymnast. She doesn't look as though she has the power for big tumbles, and she hasn't. 1.5 twisting somersault into a roll. She looks too frail to leap off the floor.
Yes, if there's one criticism of the Chinese gymnasts, I think I go with you, Monica. Girls, this is, because the men are extremely powerful, but they don't seem quite as strong as the Eastern Europeans.
Beautiful double twist vault and a lovely full twisting dive roll. She is so long and thin that her body lends itself much more to twisting than her power does to somersaulting. So obviously she's wise to portray in her floor routine what she is good at. And this is really what gymnastics is all about. Here we see it. Arab spring, the flick-flack, up into the twist, 1.5. Overbalanced in the first run. She had to roll out marks that she will lose, actually.
And that will probably ease Davidova's thoughts. She knows that she can probably get rid of Ma Yan-hong as a contender. But this Egavari of Hungary on the asymmetric bars.
Hungarians, of course, won a bronze medal in the men's section in the Olympics, and the women aren't quite as strong, are they, as a team? But they've looked pretty good in total. It's nice to see them performing well today.
Yes, they've got a team, a very big team for girls' gymnastics, but I think the general trend at these championships has been for older girls, and generally for girls who are more like women, shall we say, than we have perhaps seen over the last couple of years.
Yes, we see Mandy Gornall.
Now, she's definitely a woman.
Now. Seeing a repeat performance of some of Mandy's work on the beam.
And Ma Yan-hong's floor routine scored her 9.75. Very respectable, but probably not good enough right up at the top. There's a nice shot of Mandy again.
Mandy just finished her beam routine, and as you saw, she was sitting waiting for the score to come up. It still hasn't shown. Polkrova here, ready for her floor routine, and we are waiting for Mandy Gornall's beam score to show.
Polkrova falling on her first tumble.
First time seen in this championship, an Arabian double somersault. An extremely difficult move for a woman to do. I think we've only had one man compete it before, but no man performed it in the championship so far. And then a double back somersault.
Going there for that original move, risking everything. Failed to land it, and everything goes back 0.5 of a point. It's a dreadfully tough business.
From power to elegance. Polkrova I watched in the earlier rounds of the competition, and she really is what I call a classical gymnast. She puts a tremendous amount of depth of feeling into all of her movements. And being tall, she has a very, very elegant line.
Martina Polkrova from Czechoslovakia. Now onto the asymmetric bars. It's Ana Manso from Spain. Ana Manso in 33rd place when she started this afternoon's competition. Good experience for Spain to be there. Here on the asymmetrics, there the giant circle. Again started on the men's piece of apparatus. Oh dear.
Oh, what a shame. A long swing into a double back away, which is an extremely difficult dismount, having built it from two giant circles. But nevertheless, a very, very courageous performance from Anna. We've just seen Mandy Gornall's score come up, a very, very good score for Mandy on beam, 9.25. And we'll soon compare how Mandy has been doing against her rival from Spain, Anna. Mandy's total, she's now finished her competition, 72.675.
Now this Annette Lindner from East Germany on the beam. Nice extension into that balanced position. She's attacking it very confidently.
I'm sure that many viewers will agree that in action she does have a look of Mandy Gnauk, who is in fact her teammate.
Maxi Gnauk, yes. Maxi, of course, out of the competition because of that injury that she received in the team event, very sadly, but she fought on, and she does appear in 3 of the individual medal finals, so we will get another chance to see her.
Sorry, did I say Mandy? Maxi. A very nice combination on beam, a half turn there into a back walkover and immediate back handspring. Some of the movements that look the most simple on beam, that take place slowly, where ultimate control is having to be exercised, are the most difficult. She now prepares for her dismount. The routine must last about 1 minute 30 seconds. Double back somersault to finish. Good routine.
Yes, in close-up, she really doesn't look very much like Maxi at all, but certainly, as she takes up some of the positions on the beam, very much like her in build. These Germans, a very happy team. Their coach was a former champion of former Olympic performer, was she not?
She has performed in many European championships. I spent 3 months in Leipzig, East Germany, training at one time and met Hannah Lair there. So she can obviously pass down her experience to her team members. But they're a very dedicated crowd. And that's a score on beam, 9.75. An extremely good score too.
But a very original exercise and well deserved.
You can see the aerial view of this fantastic stadium as we look down. And there we see the lonely figure of Elena Davidova preparing for her last exercise.
Yes, Davidova, if there's one person I'd have bet upon really performing up to her top potential in these championships, she's a very hard competitor, it would have been her. But then on her very first piece, she really made a complete mess of it. And now she knows with that final score from Olga Vicharova that there is absolutely no way that she can take the world title as well as the Olympic title. Having said that, she's of course very anxious to get a medal of some sort and keep that Russian domination of the top 3.
Those steely eyes of concentration now as she Casts to handstand, giant circle, in better form, and a Jaeger somersault inwards, forward seat circle. She's working well, keeping the routine going. Short clear to handstand. Oh, lovely. And a long swing with a full twist there. Now, a chute somersault in a pipe position over the bottom bar. She couldn't have done better.
That's the mark of a great gymnast. There she is in what is for her a disappointing position. Anyone else would love to be there, but she was only going for gold, and yet still pulled herself together, did her last 3 routines really well, and has made sure of the bronze medal.
As well as loyalty to one's country and teamwork, there's a great thing in gymnastics as a sport, and that's called self-satisfaction. And unfortunately, Elena Davidova won't be filled with that in total, but she will be, as there is.
Alice Shisheva there, one of the Russian gymnasts who didn't make the team. And she scored 9.85 for Davidova, so that makes sure that the Russians finish 1, 2, 3.
And Maria Desira is ready to start her beam exercise. In international competition, there is a scoreboard bearing both a red and a green light, and the competitor has to wait until the green light is showing. The red light is showing at the moment. When that disappears, a little green light comes up. There it goes, and that indicates that the judges are ready.
See, every gymnast present themselves as she did to the judges. I mean, gymnastics so precise, there are even faults for that, Monica, aren't there, if you fail to do so?
Oh yes, a 0.2 deduction for not presenting oneself at the beginning and the end of an exercise. A confident beginning for Anna Marie.
Strange situation in a gymnastics competition, knowing that the medals are all decided and there's still quite a bit of this rotation to go. Disaster there for Tsiris, coming off the beam.
Oh, and again. That's really unnerved her, and I was just thinking how steadily she was going. Stop, girl, and think. Free walkover, rather a difficult movement, and yet only classed in gymnastics as a B, which is a movement of medium difficulty. And a medium difficult finish, full twisting back somersault.
Anna Marie Tsiris from Canada, well down. She only just scraped into this top 36. But it is a strange position. Yesterday we were lucky we had the men's competition building to a natural climax with Makuts and Korolev head to head, and really leading right up and way through that last rotation on the men's side. But here in the women's competition, particularly with Vicharova and Filatova going on the vault, which is over very quickly, Monica, it's gone a little dead in the arena.
Oh yes, it certainly takes away from the atmosphere, but of course there's still a battle being fought from first to 36. We see Televiras ready, and now we have on beam Romy Kessler from Switzerland, Televiras on floor. mounting the podium to start her bar routine. Here she goes, reverse grasp, drop down to window and to immediate redoppler to catch. A very nice opening routine.
Up onto the top bar, hip circles it. I don't think she meant to touch her feet on there, Monica.
Oh, a very, very nice routine. She had a repeat from the endo on the bottom bar into the endo onto the top bar, through to straddle. Although, to me, it looked a little short. What she did was nice, but it could be that she missed out a movement. Here we see the mount again. Jump to reverse hand grasp, so the fingers are behind the bar. High hip lift. And we leave that rather abruptly to go to floor now.
And on the floor, it's Yvonne Haug of West Germany. Yvonne Haug's been going very well. Oh, but that's, again, her competition ruined. Didn't get into the double tuck-back somersault quickly enough and started rubbing pebbles along the ground with her nose.
Good build for being a gymnast, nice and light for bar work, but for floor work and for tumbling, not too strong. Tumbling demands a tremendous amount of leg power and strength in the ankles. Yes, indeed, we see a perfect example of the stamina running out. Actually, a double twist was being aimed for, and only a 1.5 twist with a fall fulfilled.
Yvonne Haug from West Germany finishes. While you were looking at that, Monica, a rather nice touch on the asymmetric bars. There was Yelena Davidova, through all that disappointment, still taking the trouble to go out and help prepare the bars for Steffi Kraker, I think it is, who's next to go on them. Not even a Russian and East German. There's a great camaraderie between the gymnasts, isn't there?
Very, very, very happy atmosphere. And as we saw the unfortunate tumble there on floor, Gregoris moved up into 5th place with a 9.9 on vault. So the runners-up in the competition are really getting tight. So it's going to be a very, very interesting finish.
And Tracy Talavera's score just come up for the asymmetric bars. She scored 9.6. We do know now, I think nobody can overhaul the 4th one either. The first 3 places definitely go to the Russians. Vitarova, the gold medal, 78.4. Filatova, 78.075. Davidova, 77.975. And Ma Yahong from China in 4th place, 77.625 at the moment, but she could possibly be caught. That's Ludmila Teresheva, the head judge on the floor. They've only given 8.45 to Yvonne Haug, but Teresheva, of course, one of the great champions herself.
And what better piece for her to judge on? Absolute classical performer herself. She was able to put in all of the feeling that she is expecting her gymnasts on the floor to portray.
That Steffi Kraker from East Germany, the second top East German, but in this competition, certainly the top East German, because Maxi Knauk out through that injury in the team competition. A great deal depending on her. She'll be determined to keep up the pride of East Germany. They did tremendously well in that team competition after Maxi being injured. At one stage they were out of the top 3, but forced their way back in to take the bronze medal.
Oh, indeed, it was a marvellous team performance. Steffi came back onto asymmetric bars, which of course is her forte because she is Olympic bronze medalist on this piece. Overall in the Olympic Games she was ranked number 5 gymnast, So see if she can measure up to this in the World Championships, perhaps with a good performance, who knows. One of the, as we discussed earlier, one of the women present. A very, very mature performer.
Now we move to floor. Yayoi Kano of Japan, halfway through a floor exercise.
Double twist to finish there from Kano, not too strong again on the tumbles, but we get very, very complacent about what we're seeing. We've seen full twisting double back somersaults and double back somersaults at the beginning and the end of routines. We mustn't be afraid to praise those people like the Japanese who are coming in the middle of the field and performing very, very well. Nevertheless, some very sound gymnastics. We did have a double back there to land at the beginning of the exercise.
Now Steffi Krejka on the parallel bars, a long delay there. This unusual move she does, standing on there, then the circle and the back somersault to regain, hip circle around the low bar. She really has a lovely worker on the asymmetrics, isn't she?
Again, that was an innovation of Olga Corbett's, as we saw. And for a tall girl, she works the bar so well, so very, very well. Lovely full twisting dismount off the high bar.
And that's roused the crowd again. Magnificent piece of work by Steffi Krejka. Yano Kanoi scored 9.5 on the floor. That won't change her position. But Krejka really lifted that. Beautiful work here, Monica.
Now over to floor, we have another woman in the competition, Kathy Johnson, the oldest member of the American team, as we said earlier, who came in at rather a late stage. A very, very dramatic performer on floor. You can tell by her facial expressions that she literally lives every movement that she performs.
A really haughty look before she sets off. How long do you think it took her to practice that one?
Probably just as long as many of the other skills. Aimed for a triple twist, didn't quite make it.
Double pike back somersault there. That's a very complex two tumbling runs she's gone for so far. Triple twist, which she didn't quite get, and double pike, which she landed perfectly.
Although this is very elegant, many of the routines we've seen earlier have been very much more fast-moving than this, and therefore they're getting in more skills to impress the judges with their versatility. Tumble run, 1.5 twist to walk out. Well, actually, it was a full twisting somersault just to walk out.
And the cheer just as she began that last tumbling run was for Steffi Krejka's mark, which had come up on the asymmetric bars, 9.8.
So a really wonderful afternoon of gymnastics. I'm sure you're 28.4, including that perfect 10. The silver medal to Maria Filatova, 78.075, also from Russia, and the bronze to the Olympic champion, again from Russia, Yelena Davidova, 77.975. So it's a 1, 2 and 3 for Russians in that event. Britain's Mandy...